In this section on workflow and integrations, we're going to cover how Sentry can enhance your overall debugging experience.
Because while the success here is the end state we want to get to, you'll need more than just your existing CI/CD process of getting new code into production. You've already got that down. You need to get alerted about problems in your code, triage them effectively, and finally be able to manage this process as a whole. Basically, Sentry wants you to see debugging as a workflow or a process in and of itself that's collaborative and just as important as your current CI/CD pipeline. And Sentry's integrations will help you accomplish this. With this in place, you can reach this end state as fast as possible, which will free up your developers' time tremendously. And once you've got this down, you won't be able to live without it. So let's see what features and integrations Sentry has to offer for this. In the integrations dashboard and your organization settings, the list is quite extensive. We don't need to go through these one by one, but it's more helpful to see how they fit into your team debugging process that we're trying to help you establish. So let's review that. Our integrations for notifications and incidents will help you solve the problem of getting alerted about problems of your code and getting them into the hands of the right people. Your project management integrations are really good for keeping track of what those problems are once you've identified and triaged them. Data visualization tools are great for understanding trends in your problems, but we'll see soon how you can use Sentry's Discover tool to do much of the same. Finally, source code management integration helps you with both triage and resolution because it'll allow you to see the commits that correspond to the error in code as well as the authors behind them, and finally roll out new releases which have commits issuing the fix. And you can track this amongst your deployments. We recommend setting up a learning and source management integrations first if you haven't set up any of these yet, so let's take a look at those. You can configure alerts in your project settings. You can trigger an alert based on any of these criteria, like an issue in general, as we saw in the demo I presented, or you can do issue state changes. So if something gets marked resolved in one release, then you have a new release the next day, and it happens again, you can get alerted that a regression has recurred. You can also alert based on tags, which could be anything from the URL in your app that the error happened to the server name, the file, or module that caused it as well. And these tags are set by default depending on the SDK, but you can set your own tags as well. And bear in mind that the more specific you can be in what you're looking for, then the more specific that the person or team you're looking to alert can be notified about, as opposed to alerting the entire engineering department at once. So here are our actions for what to do if we meet the condition. So you can send via Slack, PagerDuty, email. If you were to choose Slack, choose a workspace and then a specific channel that you want to notify them. And Sentry also has an internal integration platform, and this allows you to use anything as an integration, even if Sentry doesn't support it out of the box. So if you select this option here, then you'll see any of your internal integrations listed here. And I'll show you in a few minutes how to set those up. So next is issue owners. And this is an issue management feature within Sentry as opposed to something like Jira. So let's talk about how I used it with this React app. Let's say that 90% of my code base in here is in this components directory, and 10% of my code base is in critical here, and that's for critical things like logins, registrations, or where customers are using their credit cards on my website. Well, I'll define an issue owner rule here that says if an error comes from any file in the critical directory, then assign this to a team of people called heroes in Sentry. Otherwise, I have a fallback condition here that says everything else that doesn't meet this condition will get assigned to team everyone else. Next, let's look at the Sentry integration platform. This is in your org settings. Put the name of what your external integration is and the URL of it as well. Then there's two main things you can do. You can have the alert go to this URL here so that you could then go configure an alert and select this My Service as an option in that dropdown like we saw in alerts. And you would have to check off this box to make it available in that dropdown. Or instead of getting an alert sent to myservice.com, you could have the event itself get sent as opposed to the alert. So then uncheck this and come down here, select read write, and say you want the error to get sent, or you want the issue information in general to get sent.